Hey guys, it's Ash, and this will be my guide on how to farm in the Masters League. As a Town Hall 10 player, the Master League is where I spent the majority of my time farming. It is where I farmed my Archer Queen and Barbarian King both to level 40 very quickly. And with the new matchmaking system, it has also now become increasingly viable for Town Hall 9s to farm here, as now you will be paired up against other Town Hall 9s more frequently. The Master League is an excellent place for farming all resources as well, especially Dark Elixir. In this guide, I will teach you the most effective and efficient way to farm Dark Elixir in the Master League. What makes the Master League more intriguing is the fact that you're given a large quantity of loot bonus compared to the lower leagues. For example, the loot bonus at Master 3 is 100,000 gold and 100,000 elixir along with 500 Dark Elixir. While if you're farming at Crystal 3 for instance, then you would only be making 30,000 gold in elixir each and only 100 Dark Elixir in bonus. So the main reason to farm in the Master League is for the loot bonus. However, to get that juicy bonus, you must win. And that's not easy when you take into account that there are much better and stronger bases in the Master League compared to the lower leagues. While you also have to stress the need to win every raid constantly to obtain that loot bonus. If you're not winning every raid, then you're not benefiting much from farming here. So unlike leagues such as the Silver or Gold where you don't have to really focus on winning to farm, you're going to have to really focus on winning at Masters. So if you want to farm in the Master Leagues, then I highly recommend that you have one of the following. Either an Archer Queen or a Barbarian King to assist you. Having a hero to farm in the Master Leagues is extremely crucial because you're going to be placed in situations where you're going to be a few percentage points away from 50% and you have no backup to retrieve it. Or if you don't have a hero, then I highly recommend boosting your spell factory and cooking lightning spells. Use the lightning spells mainly as last resort to gain the extra percentage points for the win by destroying weakened buildings at the end, or destroying builder huts or hero altars with one shot. Also, it is critical that you have a backup plan, so you must always carry clan castle troops at all times as a last resort safety purpose. So what army should I use? Well, there are two army compositions that I recommend for farming efficiently in the Master Leagues. The first is Barge, where in the first barrack you cook all barbarians, and in the next 3 barracks cook all archers. You can also cook some wall breakers and minions if you want. Wall breakers are great for breaking in a layer or two to allow your hero to get to that Dark Elixir storage. In the Master League, you're gonna find a lot of easy to get Dark Elixir storage as they're very close by to the outer edges of a base. And you don't want to cook too many minions because minions take up a lot of camp space. One minion takes up 2 camp spaces as opposed to a barbarian or archer that only takes 1. And I highly recommend carrying an Archer Queen or a Barbarian King. If you don't have one of them, then I highly recommend boosting your spell factory and cooking lightning spells. But if you do have your Archer Queen or a Barbarian King to assist you, then you can cook rage or heal spells instead. And I also recommend carrying 1 poison spell for safety purposes against clan castle troops. And the second army composition that I would recommend for efficiently farming in the Master Leagues is G-Barge. So for your first barrack, cook 2 giants, 2 wall breakers, and fill the rest with barbarians. For the next 3 barracks, cook 2 giants each, 2 wall breakers each, and fill the rest with archers. So you should have a total of 8 giants and 8 wall breakers in your camp, some barbarians, and a bunch of archers. The Archer Queen for this composition is a must. You must have the Archer Queen because of the giants. The giant will tank for your Archer Queen, allowing her to get inside a base easier. This composition is excellent for 50%ing a base and getting the Dark Elixir storage inside a base, as the giants will protect your queen as she breaks in to get the Dark Elixir storage. For spells, I recommend rage spells and heal spells. Also carry 1 poison spell for safety against clan castle troops. So farming anywhere in Masters is awesome due to the loot bonus. However, due to efficiency purposes, I don't recommend going too high. Sure, the loot bonus is more appealing at Masters 1 than Masters 3, but you need to take into account whether it's efficient farming that high. And usually most of the time it isn't. This is mainly because there are much more tougher bases the higher you go up in Masters. So that means that you're gonna either fail to get that 50% or search a lot longer for a good base to attack. There are also less dead bases the higher you go up in the trophy leagues, as the players up there are all mostly very active. So my favorite trophy range to farm is from 2550 to 2650 with the Masters 3 badge, as this is the range where you're gonna find the most dead bases in Masters and also the weakest bases to 50% as well, and even attack storages to get that 50%. The reason for this is that many people who aren't ready to push simply move up to Masters 3 to obtain the achievement for 1000 gems or use inefficient armies with powerful troops to farm here and just stay up in Masters 3. If I go too high and surpass 2560 trophies, then I will quickly drop back to 2550 range. You want to avoid going too low because if you fall behind 2500 trophies, then you're going to lose the Masters 3 badge, and quickly gaining back that 100 trophies can be quite annoying. So how much loot should I go for? Well, if you're focusing on a good distribution of all three resources, then you should aim for at least 100,000 gold, 100,000 elixir, and 500 dark elixir, along with the win. Winning by either 50% or taking out the town hall is a must, as that will also earn you 100,000 each of gold and elixir and 500 more dark elixir, which means that you're going to be making at least 400,000 in total resource and 1,000 dark elixir every raid. And if you're focusing mainly on dark elixir, then you should aim for at least 1500 dark elixir and a 50% win. However, if you have an ample amount of trophies and can afford to lose trophies without falling below Masters, then you should target at least 2000 dark elixir from the dark elixir storage if it's easy to get. And remember, if you find a town hall outside the base, then you should definitely destroy it with the... Now here's the most important part, and that is how to actually attack in Masters League for farming. As I recommended, you should either use Barch or G-Barch to farm up here efficiently. So how do I attack with these compositions? Well, I'll share some examples of how to do that later, but first, it's important that you understand the types of bases you should attack and how many buildings you need to destroy to obtain that 50% win. The main point of farming in the Master League is that you are able to 50% a base and not just go for the town hall and the core. The reason for this is simple. Collectors are usually placed around the outside or inside of the base. So you're gonna have to mainly attack from all sides of the base, which will leave you with very few troops to target the town hall and the core. Here's a chart that I created to help you guys get a picture of how many buildings you need to destroy to obtain that 50% win. So looking at this chart, if you want to attack a Town Hall 10 base, the maximum number of buildings available for a Town Hall 10 is 83, so you need to destroy about 42 of them. While if you're attacking a Town Hall 9, you need to destroy about 38 of them. Now, an interesting thing to note is that a little more than half the buildings are non-defensive units. Non-defensive units are buildings such as collectors' drills, barracks, factories, labs, huts, hero altars, anything that's not a defense. So that means that if all the defenses are placed inside a base and all the non-defensive buildings are placed outside the base, then that base can be very easy to 50%. So as I've said, it's very important to know the types of bases you should attack. And in order to know the types of bases you should attack, you need to know what to watch out for, what to avoid. So I'm going to outline the main threats, as it's extremely important that you know what to watch out for. The first and the biggest threat, in my opinion, is the multi-targeting Inferno Towers. Inferno Towers have a 10-tile attack range, so if it's a multi-targeting Inferno Tower that is in range and is guarding the outside of the base, then you must avoid at all costs. Do not attack a base with multi-Inferno Towers that is in the outside along the exterior portion of the base, guarding that exterior part. Another very big threat that you should avoid are the Barbarian King or the archer queen on the outside of the base that are active on defense, as they can be very deadly if they are placed next to other defenses. The reason for this is because they will pull and distract your troops towards them. And you don't want that, especially if there is a mortar or a wizard tower next to the hero, as they will quickly kill a large number of your barbarians and archers, as the barbarian king or the queen has your troops distracted. Mortars that are on the outside and in range are also very dangerous because of their splash damage, which can harm a bunch of your troops at once, as they also have an 11 tile attack range, so it's critical that you spread your barbarians and archers around as much as possible. It's also very important that you always have your barbarians in front of your archers, so the mortars don't target and kill all your archers in one shot, since your archers are your main troops that attack over the walls to destroy the units over the walls to gain that 50%. Wizards also, like mortars, are equally dangerous because they also do splash damage. However, unlike mortars, wizard towers only have a 7 tile attack range, so they are much easier to avoid with archers. So for example, there's a wizard tower right there, then you can place archers here instead of barbarians. Don't summon barbarians here, instead summon archers here to take those gold mines and collectors with your archers, while you can attack these sides with barbarians. On the sides that don't have wizard towers in range, you can take those buildings with barbarians while using archers to avoid the wizard towers. So as you can see, he has 2 mortars right in the core area in the center, so you can avoid 2 mortars right there, so that's great. You can also avoid these wizard towers because of their 7 tile range. They can't target your barbarians and archers outside here. So the main threat against this base would be the 2 heroes right here, that mortar right there. You can avoid these 2 wizard towers by spreading around your archers around here and here. So this base isn't too hard to 50%, but for a Town Hall 9 player, it's going to be very difficult to 50% because you're going to have to use a lot of troops to remove the Archer Queen and Barbarian King and then go for the 50%. So this is not a base that I would recommend Town Hall 9 attacking, but for a Town Hall 10, it's a pretty easy base to attack to get that 50%. And also you can use Giants to here, send them out here to distract these defenses and break in with your Archer Queen to get that Dark Elixir storage as well. So you can go for the 50% and get about 1500 Dark Elixir, and with the loot bonus that's going to give you 2000 Dark Elixir in total, so that would be great. Clan Castle troops can be very annoying, but are actually quite easy to deal with. If the Clan Castle can be triggered with barbarians, then always make sure to test to see whether there's anything inside of it first. If it can't be triggered, then that means that it's placed somewhere in the center of the base, and since we're only interested in attacking the outside of the base for the 50%, we can ignore it. So try your best not to trigger the Clan Castle if it's placed at the center. Giant bombs and Teslas on the outside are also big threats. Giant bombs are a huge threat only if you let them kill a whole bunch of your troops. You should always test for giant bombs on the outside of the base in the empty 2x2 tile spaces before you spawn a whole bunch of troops. Teslas also share the same 2x2 tile space as a giant bomb, and many bases in Masters have Teslas somewhere outside or around the outside of the base. So when Teslas are combined with other rapid firing defenses such as Archer Towers or Expos, they can be quite deadly. The best way to predict whether there are giant bombs or Teslas on the outside of a base is to first check the inside of the base, whether that base has many empty 2x2 tile spaces inside of it. If there are a bunch of empty spaces at the core, then that means that that base most likely has Teslas there and not the outside. While if the core or areas inside the base lacks empty 2x2 tile spaces, then that's a good indication that Teslas and giant bombs may be placed outside the base. So for example, against this base, as you can see, the inside of the base lacks 2x2 tile spaces. So that means there aren't any Teslas or giant bombs in the inside of the base. So if we look at here, there's empty space right there, empty space right there. So these are possible locations of Teslas or giant bombs in these empty spaces on the outside. Now obviously that's a lot of threats to be worried about, and you're going to be searching for a very long time to find a base if you're trying to avoid all of these threats. However, this is not a list of threats you should avoid entirely, but a list of threats you need to watch out for on the exterior parts of the base, because your main focus should be attacking the outside of a base for 50% And if possible, also go for the Dark Elixir storage if it's close by in the inside of the base. This will be my second part of my Master League farming guide, in which I'm going to show you the types of bases you should avoid and the types of bases you should attack. So I'm going to first start by showing you guys a bunch of bases that you should avoid and why, then show you a bunch of bases you should attack and how I attack them. Also note that this guide will also help you get to Masters League quickly once you know how to attack and what types of bases to attack. So let's get started. Okay, so let's start with a pretty obvious one. This base you want to definitely avoid because the number one reason would be because it has maxed out defenses and it's a Town Hall 10 base. So you want to definitely avoid this. Another obvious reason is because all those resources are inside the storages within the base. So it's going to be really hard to get the resource, and all the collectors are empty, as you can see. They don't have resources outside the base. Now, the majority of the non-defensive buildings like collectors, camps, barracks are on the outside, which means that it won't be too difficult to 50%. However, because there's high level 8 wizard tower, and then you have a mortar, all of these are within range to protect all of these resources. Not to mention there's also an active archer queen there. So this is going to be a very difficult space to 50%. And there's not much reward either because all the resource is inside. All the dark elixir is inside that core. So you're not going to get much either way. Okay, so this is a Town Hall 10 base with very high level defenses. But it's actually a very easy base to 50%, and the reason for that is because all the non-defensive buildings are on the outside. All the collectors, camps, hero altars, huts, or everything is on the outside. So it's going to be very easy to get that 50% if we take them all down. And that's going to be very easy because the wizard towers are also all out of range, except this one right here that's protecting these buildings. So you can prioritize these buildings last. Otherwise, these buildings are out of range. All of these buildings are out of range of the wizard tower. Same for the mortars. You could avoid this mortar right here. Use archers. You can avoid this mortar entirely on this side as well. This side as well. Just use a few barbarians and archers here, and you can mainly avoid the mortars. The heroes are both inactive, so that's excellent. You don't have to worry about them. Those are like 3 percentage points from those altars outside as well. Okay, since this is a pretty easy base to 50%, I'm just going to spread around my barbarians and archers all around the base to get all the non-defensive buildings around the base. So I'm going to send out my barbarians first, then archers behind them. The barbarians will act as shield for them. I found that he has Teslas on the south, 2 level 8 Teslas, and those are a big threat to barbarians and archers. So I'm going to save the south side of the base for last and use my giants to attack from the south and gain the 50% with my archer queen behind my giants. Okay, here's another base that you must avoid, and the reason for that is obvious. The only non-defensive buildings that are outside the base are the army camps. There's only 4 of them. Everything else is inside the base and also is heavily guarded. Even though his defenses look pretty weak, he has very good splash defenses. He has level 7 mortars right here, level 6 wizard towers, and a big reason, a huge reason to avoid this base is because of his active heroes right here. He has the archer queen active, he has a barbarian king active. Definitely avoid this base. Okay, even though this is a pretty easy looking base to 50%, it's actually not, and that's because he has all his collectors inside the base. So it's going to be pretty tough for a Town Hall 9 player to 50% this base, especially if you only have barbarians and archers. But if you have giants, if you're using giants with barge and an archer queen, it would be much easier to 50% this base. Otherwise, you should definitely avoid because there's also an active archer queen and barbarian king inside the base. So if you have giants and archer queen, it would be very easy. Just get the collectors first with your barbarians and archers on the outside, then break inside, send in your giants, use them as shields for your archer queen, and she can easily retrieve that 50%. I want to start by taking out those collectors outside because they're loaded. So I use barbarians as shield and archers to take the collectors. As you can see, the mortars and defenses are prioritizing on the barbarians. Alright, and then I'm going to work on the other sides as well. Barbarians and archers behind them do the same thing, and try to get as much percentage points as possible as well from the outside of the base. Okay, now I'm going to spread out my giants in two sides and open up inside the base, send in my giants inside, distract all the defenses in there, send in my queen and the rest of my barbarians, archers, and clan castle troops inside the base. I'm going to use a rage spell there to assist all those troops inside the base to quickly take out all the defenses and buildings. And it's going to be a pretty easy 50%, and I can also get that town hall as well with my archer queen. So it was a 2-star attack and it was pretty successful. I got a lot of resource from this attack. Okay, this is a base that a Town Hall 9 player should avoid, but a Town Hall 10 player should attack, because level 7 Barge makes it much easier to 50% another Town Hall 10 base. However, for a Town Hall 9 that only has 220 camp space and level 6 Barge, it's gonna be much tougher to 50% this Town Hall 10 base, even if all the non-defensive buildings are on the outside of the base. And the reason for that is because there's a lot of buildings that you need to destroy. And another major reason is because of the level of the mortar. The level of the mortar is level 7, which means that they're gonna knock out your archers in 1 shot, your barbarians in 2 shot, and that's really a big threat, which are the mortars here. And for a Town Hall 10, it's gonna be very easy to 50% this base, because as you can see, all the level 6 wizard towers are in the core, so you can avoid them all. He has active heroes, Barbarian King, but you can easily avoid that with archers here. You can easily avoid the Archer Queen here as well by spreading out your archers here. So yeah, you can avoid a lot of big threats, and the multi-inferno there is also out of range, so you don't have to worry about that. So this would be a pretty easy base to 50%, and you can get a lot of resource as well from these drills right here that look pretty loaded. So you're gonna get a lot of dark elixir. You should be able to get at least 100k of each, and with the loot bonus you're also gonna get 100k of each and 500 more dark elixir. Okay, this is a very easy base to 50%. Even though he has high level splash, defenses, and active heroes, it's gonna be very easy to 50% this base because his wizard towers are all out of range to protect the outside buildings. He has a mortar right there that's exposed. You can quickly remove that. You can avoid all of these mortars. Just send in archers around here and you can avoid them. And lastly, you can take the gold mines from inside these walls and also focus on taking those dark elixir drills. But it's going to be very easy to get that 50%, and you're going to get a lot of resource from this attack. So the first thing I'm obviously going to do is take out that mortar that's right on the outside, since mortars are a big threat to Barge. And now all I have to do is just simply spread around my barbarians and then archers behind them all across the base. Okay, this is another base that you should avoid, and the main reason to avoid it is because all the collectors are inside the base, inside walls. So it's going to be very tough for both the Town Hall 9 and the 10 player to 50% this base. You could go and attack the inside and go for the Town Hall, but that's going to require a lot of troops. You're not going to get a lot of resource, so you're not going to end up with a lot of resource. You want at least 100k gold, 100k elixir, and at least 1,000 dark elixir. However, all the resources are spread around the base, so you should definitely avoid this base. Okay, this is a Town Hall 10 base, and this guy has a bunch of collectors inside the base. So a Town Hall 9 attacker must avoid this base, especially since he has level 6 wizard towers on the outside right here. He has an active archer queen there. It's gonna be much harder for a Town Hall 9 to 50% this base because a Town Hall 10 base, and a Town Hall 10 has a lot more buildings than a Town Hall 9. And the Town Hall 9 attacker only has level 6 barge and only 220 camp space. As for a Town Hall 10, it would be a much easier base for a Town Hall 10 to 50% this base because all the mortars are inside the core, so you can avoid all the level 7 mortars inside there. You can also avoid a bunch of wizard towers just by spreading out your archers on the outside. You want to definitely go for that drill though, so there is a archer queen that's active that may be of concern, but as for a Town Hall 10 with level 7 barge, it would still be pretty easy to 50% this base. Okay, I'm going to start by focusing on that Dark Elixir drill since it's a level 6 drill and it looks pretty loaded. So I'm going to attack from that side first. Now there is an active archer queen, so she's going to pull our troops, distracting them. And she's also going to force my troops to attack the walls because she's behind the walls. So even though my archers could simply attack over the wall, they're not going to attack her over the wall. They're going to attack the wall, and that's a big problem with active heroes on defense. That's why you want to avoid many bases that have heroes on that have heroes active on defense on the outside. So then I'm going to focus on the other sides, spread out my barbarians and archers. I'm going to send out archers on the sides that have wizard towers, so I can avoid the wizard towers with the archers range. Archers have a 3.5 tile range, while wizard towers have a 7 tile range. So if you can do the math, you can avoid the wizard towers while attacking the collectors over the walls. And the sides that don't have wizard towers, send out your barbarians on those sides. Now I've run out of archers, but I have a bunch of barbarians, so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to spread out my barbarians here and use those barbarians as meat shield for my archer queen attacking behind them. So my archer queen is now going to attack over the walls with her 5 tile range, and she should be able to quite easily get that 50%. So there we go, 50%. And I got a total of about 500,000 in total resource and 2,000 Dark Elixir. Now here we have a dead base. It's a Town Hall 10 dead base, but collectors inside the base. However, you should skip this base, and the reason for that is because all the collectors are in different compartments around the base, so you need to treat it as if it's a storage base with storages in different compartments. I know it's very hard to skip a base like this just because it's a dead base, but this is actually a very tough base to 50%. Yeah, you're actually not going to be able to 50% this base unless if you're a Town Hall 10 player who's going to attack head on from 2 directions to get a bunch of collectors for the resource and to get the win by taking out the Town Hall. But his Town Hall is guarded by 2 active heroes. All of his resources, all of his resource collectors are heavily guarded by level 7 wizard towers and level 7 mortars in that core, protecting all of these collectors. So this is a very, very tough base to 50%, even if it's a dead base. So you should avoid this. Okay, this is a Town Hall 10 base and it's loaded with resource, but the resource are inside all of these collectors inside the base, and the collectors are heavily guarded. So as a Town Hall 10 base, if you're a Town Hall 9 attacker, you want to definitely avoid this base. Do not attack this base because of the active archer queen right there, active king, level 7, wizard towers all in range. You have level 7 mortars, all of them in range of protecting all the resources. However, if you're a Town Hall 10 attacker, you do have a chance because there's still a sufficient number of buildings outside the bases. And since the wizard towers are right outside here, you can prioritize them and remove them as soon as possible. So you want to prioritize on attacking these 2 wizard towers first so you can quickly remove two huge splash defense threats. And once you've taken them down, you can then break inside the walls here with the wall breakers and try to get as much resource from there. And then I'm going to and then you can prioritize on attacking from this side and attacking the inside with your barbarians and archers. You have to use a spell for safety because otherwise it's going to be very hard to 50% this base without a spell. Okay, so I'm going to first prioritize on taking out those 2 exposed wizard towers. Send out barbarians to distract the wizard towers and then quickly take them out with archers behind them. So yeah, I've quickly taken out the wizard towers. Those are huge threats. And now I'm going to try to break inside, send in my barbarians. There's a bunch of defenses and buildings outside the base, so they're all going to help in getting the 50% win. So now I'm going to attack from the other side, open up that compartment with wall breakers, and send in more barbarians inside. So yeah, so far I've gotten a lot of resource. Now I'm gonna attack from the other side. I'm gonna completely ignore the top because that's just too heavily guarded by mortars. You have 2 wizard towers and active barbarian king, so I'm just gonna avoid that side and just attack from this side instead. Send in the rest of my barbarians and archers, and then my clan castle troops and also my archer queen. You want to surround your archer queen with barbarians and archers, as many of them as possible, because barbarians and archers are excellent at defending the archer queen from point defenses. Point defenses such as cannons, archer towers, expos, those are the major threats to the archer queen. The archer queen doesn't really mind the wizard tower or mortar damages because they're just too weak. So there we go, we were able to get that 50% and a lot of resource. We got in about 500,000 resource plus 200,000 more from the bonus, so that's about 700,000 plus about 1800 dark elixir. Excellent. Okay, here we have a Town Hall 9 trap base, so don't fall for the trap and attack from this direction because all your troops are gonna go towards that way, and they're not gonna go after the Town Hall. Even your archer queen is not gonna target the Town Hall because her range can't target that Town Hall. And it's also protected by Teslas in these empty spaces. So yeah, definitely avoid. If you were to get that Town Hall, it would require a lot of troops to do so and your heroes to get to that Town Hall, and that's definitely not worth it because if you're gonna snipe a Town Hall, make sure it's on the outside, unguarded by any defense. Cause you're not gonna get much resources. You might get that gold mine or maybe those collectors right there, but you're not gonna get much because all the resources are around the base. There's about 100k each, and there could be some on the storages as well. As for the dark elixir, there's some dark elixir in that collector and even though it's on the outside of the walls, I consider this as inside the base because both of them are heavily guarded by defenses around. So yeah, definitely avoid this type of base. Don't fall for the trap and try to go for that Town Hall. Okay, so we have a Town Hall 9 base, so it's going to be very easy for a Town Hall 10 to 50% this base because there's an ample number of non-defensive buildings on the outside of the base. However, as for a Town Hall 9, it would be much harder to 50% this base because there are a bunch of collectors inside this base. As you can see, there are a bunch of gold mines and elixir collectors and drills inside the base, so it's going to be very hard for a Town Hall 9 to 50% this base, especially since there's also an active Barbarian King right there. All the Wizard Towers are in range, so for a Town Hall 9 this is going to be a very tough base, 50%, but for a Town Hall 10 it will be very easy to. Okay, so I'm going to start by removing the outside corner builder huts, because otherwise they're just going to pull your troops outside, so you want to remove those as soon as possible. And then I'm just going to spread out my barbarians and archers all around the base. Send in archers where the wizard towers are and barbarians where the wizard towers aren't. That way I can avoid the wizard towers. And on the top there is a barbarian king right there, but it doesn't really matter too much even if it distracts my troops. It's just going to require a little more effort to remove the barbarian king and also take the buildings there as well. So I'm at 42%. And I still have a bunch of troops left. I still have my archer queen left, so it's definitely gonna be I'm definitely gonna get that 50%. So I'm gonna prioritize now on getting those drills right there on the inside. I'm at 46%, so it's gonna be very easy to get that 50%. Just send in my queen and she's gonna clutch the 50%. That's what the queen is for, clutching the 50%. Okay, we have a Town Hall 10 base with a bunch of collectors inside the base, but it's gonna be a very easy base to 50%. And the reason for that is because all the defenses are very weak. Even though he has an active queen right there, we can still avoid that queen, send in our archers here, and king right here, just send in archers and barbarians here. They're just gonna ignore the king right there. And all the mortars are inside the core, so you can avoid them. And they're weak mortars too, so it doesn't even matter. And wizard towers too, they're only level 4, so you can easily avoid them as well with their archers and barbarians around the base. So you're gonna get a lot of resource, a lot of gold, a lot of elixir, a bunch of dark elixir from these drills outside, and you're gonna easily get that 50%. Okay, start by removing the builder huts in the corners of the base first, and then you're just free to spread around your barbarians and archers behind them. You don't have to worry about the wizard towers or mortars. You don't have to worry about any splash damage because they're all at the core area. So yeah, as you can see, it was very easy to get the 50%. We didn't even have to use our archer queen, but we are gonna use the archer queen to get that dark elixir storage. And that was great. We got a lot of resource from this raid. Okay, that will be all. I really hope this guide helped you guys get a better understanding of how to efficiently farm in the Masters League, how to attack, and what bases to avoid. Be sure to give the video a thumbs up, and definitely subscribe for more great content in the future. I'll see you guys again soon. Bye.